Hello everybody, welcome or welcome back. Today is I think it's the 3rd of November today. I haven't filmed my October wrap up yet, so that's what we're going to be doing today, going through all the books that I read in October. I read 8 books, which isn't too bad. I read like 3 books in September, 5, not many. I didn't read many books in September, so this is a little bit more average. I feel like I'm getting back into the swing of things. I have them all stacked up the wrong way round, so let me just unstack. The first book that I finished in October was The Fates Divide. This is the second book in the Carve the Mark duology. I literally read Carve the Mark at the end of September, finished this October, I don't know, right at the start of October. So, God, I'm gonna have a tough time explaining the series because every time I've tried to explain this series, for some reason it goes straight over my head. I can't explain it. This is a YA sci-fi series, I believe. The duology is about Syra and Akos, who are 2 teenagers that come from 2 separate societies that inhabit this one planet, and there's a lot of tension between these 2 sections of people. They don't like each other. Akos gets kidnapped by Syra's brother, and they obviously interact through that and kind of form like a friendship alliance situation. It's really good. I really enjoyed the series. I think the romance is really sweet. It's one of the most wholesome teenage pure first love romances that I've read. I really enjoyed that. I can't explain this fucking series for the life of me. I can't do it. I don't know why. But just trust me, it was really good. Why does it look like I have no mascara on this eye? I'm not a big sci-fi girl. I don't know if I've read any other sci-fi books. I really enjoyed this duology. I think it would be a really good first read if you're interested in reading sci-fi. So next I read Capturing the Devil by Kerri Maniscalco. This is the last installment in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, which I think I read it all this year, but I read the other 3 books a lot earlier in the year, and then it got to spring summer and this wasn't really the vibe anymore. But this felt like a good book to pull out to get into the cozy October vibes, and it was. Quite enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the first half more so compared to the second half, because one of my favourite things about this entire series is the romance that happens in it. I remember Carrie and Reed talking about this series and saying how by the end of it, it's literally just straight up romance. And I completely agree. Even me as a romance reader felt like there was too much romance in this book. And it was kind of just repeated the same scenes over and over again. But in saying that, I did still really love it. There was some drama going on, which I really enjoyed. I just felt like the crime murder mystery aspect got lost a little bit, which is a shame, and almost felt kind of forced in there, oh shit, yeah, I need to put that in. We can't just fucking watch Thomas and Audrey kiss all day, you know, we've got to actually deal with this murder. I still really liked it. I would recommend this series if it's interesting to you. So the next book I read, I finished Chestnut Springs Hopeless. I actually don't think I've read this. I think I DNF'd this. I think I read, yeah, here we go. I read over half of this book and DNF'd it because I poo-pooed it. I definitely spoke a lot about my feelings about this in a reading vlog. I can't remember which one. It probably has the book in the thumbnail though, one of my recent ones. So in this book, we're following Bew, who is a character that we've seen throughout the series, and we've always seen him as quite this happy-go-lucky, fun, light-hearted guy. But in, I think, the 3rd book, we find out that he's been lost at war, I think. He's a military man, by the way, military man. He's been lost at war, and then he's found, and he's been injured. And he's come back and he's not the same. He's not the same at all. So that's kind of a setup for, that could be kind of good. That could be an interesting story going on. In this book, we find Bew. He is just not doing too good, as we have discussed. and he's very much not interested in speaking to anyone about this. He's like, it's very clear, he seems to be very aware that he is not good, he's not all right, he's not happy at all, but he's not interested in speaking to anyone about it, having any help, especially from his family. He would like them to please leave him alone, leave me alone. View goes into the bar of this girl who's kind of like the town outcast, but he just takes a shine to her, I guess. I think this is age gap as well, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, it's definitely age gap. Oh, it's definitely age gap. We'll get back to that. And he just like decides that she is the golden goose, and he will talk to her, and he wants to get married. I can't remember why they need to get married. I think it's for her reputation's sake. My issues with this book, number one, age gap. I enjoy an age gap. I enjoy an age gap romance. Sue me, I do. Sometimes it's just icky, and it's icky because you bring it up every 5 minutes and it's almost like, and I don't like it when you're like every 5 minutes talking about how young and naive and like infantile basically this individual is. Like, I don't want to think about that. I don't want you to be putting that in my face. Thank you very much. So didn't love that. This girl can very clearly see like, oh yeah, he's not dealing with anything, but like just kind of enables him to like run away, ignore his family, all this stuff, you know what I mean? It's like he clearly wants to isolate himself, but that's not really what's best for him. He should be around his family, he should have a support system. So I don't know, I just didn't get it. Maybe if I'd finished it I would have gotten what was going on and whatever, but yeah, I feel like I had more things I didn't like about it than I probably spoke about in my reading vlog, but I don't remember. But Hopeless, yeah, didn't love. Overall, Chestnut Springs wasn't really for me, but that is okay because Heartless was really good. So the next book I read, this is probably like the most surprising book of the month, was After the Forest by Kel Woods. I got this book from a Luma crate last October, I think this was the second book I ever got, so it was either October or November last year, and I just looking at it I was like, not a bit of me, it's not a bit of me. I read the blurb and it's a Hansel and Gretel retelling about gingerbread men is what I was getting, and it's dark and it's in the woods, and I was like, I don't care about them running around the woods making gingerbread men, I just don't. Finally decided to pick it up. I can't remember why, but I ended up really enjoying this book. I haven't been giving you ratings, have I? Okay. The Fates Divide, I think, was a 4.25 or a 4.5. Capturing the Devil, I felt like it was like a 3.75, 3.5, somewhere around there. Hopeless was a DNF, so poo-poo that. And then this, I think I rated it either a 3.75 or a 4-star. I think a 4-star. I quite enjoyed this. Book opens up and it's Hans and Greta, so Hansel and Gretel, but they're called Hans and Greta, like years after they're back from being locked in the witch's house. So it's like post all those events. We're following Greta through the book. Hans is just kind of a side character, and Greta is kind of still dealing with the ramifications of what happened in the forest with this witch. Not only like emotionally of like how that affects people, like same with Hans, like you can tell that he's clearly still affected by the events of their father leaving them in the forest and then being nearly eaten by a witch. And this little town village that they're from, everybody seems very spooked by Greta. They're like, how did you get yourself out of that? And I feel like you're a witch, and I feel like I'm scared of you, and I feel like, what the fuck? So she's kind of like outcast, low-key, like people don't fuck with Greta, but what they do fuck with is Greta's gingerbread. They fuck so heavily with Greta's gingerbread. They're like, you're a weird fucking bitch, I don't like anything about you, but your gingerbread fucking slaps, so I will be purchasing that, thank you so much. Secret is, Greta stole from the witch that was going to cook Hansel. She stole her magic book, and it has all these spells and bad spells in it, but she just uses one recipe for gingerbread men, which is just the most delectable little treat you've ever had in your life. So that's like the opening of the story, and then there's this dark magic that's taken over the whole place. People are coming up dead, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. There's some shape shifting going on in this book. It's like wolves and shit. Really fun, and it's romance. I did not expect there to be romance, and it was pretty good. I pretty much liked it a lot. This is very, very fun. I think it's creepy, witchy, but like storybook fairy tale vibe. Kind of like, imagine the setting of like Beauty and the Beast live action in the village. That was kind of like the vibe I was getting, but you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was really loving it. Next book I read after that list, I just fancied something a little bit easier. I picked up Daydream by Hannah Grace. This was, I think, a new release. I don't know if it was in October or September, maybe even in August, I don't know, but it was new. It was pretty new for me. This is either the third or third and final, because I heard someone say that this is the final book that's going to be in the, what is this fucking series called? Maple Hills? Is it Maple Hills? Is it Maple Hills? It might be Maple Hills. I don't know. This hockey romance series, but it's not really that hockey romance. I know the first one was super hockey. Daydream, this was highly anticipated by me and a lot of other people because of this young man, Henry, who we have seen through the other books and has just really been a very fun, exciting, interesting character that we all wanted to explore. This is kind of giving, well, I thought that this was kind of giving tuty, you tutor me because don't know how to do this and I will help you have fun, like popular guy, nerdy girl kind of vibes. It's kind of that, but that's quite a reductionary like thing. It's not really giving that. So we have Henry, who has been made ice hockey captain, but he's really not into it. He's like, this is too much fucking pressure. I can't do with this. It's too much for me. Like, I'm like, it's not my vibe. And then he's got this class, which he's just not, it just doesn't work for him. Like, the teacher's teaching style is just not up his alley. It just doesn't work. He has to at least pass the class or get good grades in the class so he can still be in the ice hockey team, something along those lines. So he meets Hallie, who did really well in that class at one point, and she says that she's gonna help him like figure out how to do better. And then he's gonna, I think, it's not fake dating, but it's kind of like going on dates to like learn how to have fun on dates, or learn like something along those lines. I don't freaking know. It's really cute. It's really fun and cute. I would definitely recommend. I feel like it kind of fell off a little bit towards the end. I just kind of lost steam a little bit, which is, I often find myself losing steam with books like this. Like, I enjoy the first like 250 pages, and then the last 100 I'm just like, okay. But overall, did really love, have enjoyed all those books, to be honest. This was kind of rogue of me, but I picked up Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is the first book in the Rose Hill series, her new series that she has been doing. It's a spin-off of Chestnut Springs, which, as you saw, I have not enjoyed every Chestnut Springs book I've read. I have not enjoyed more than I have enjoyed. So I am not the biggest Elsie Silver girl, but I wanted to give another Elsie Silver series a chance because I love the idea of like small town cowboy, like on a farm. Like, I love all that in a book. For some reason those just didn't work for me. I don't know, I think because they didn't give that as much as people suggested that they were gonna, if we're gonna be honest with ourselves about something. This series is meant to all be single dad trope, which yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't know why, just does it for me. Love it, works every time. So Wild Love features Ford Grant, who is Willa's brother from Heartless, which is the Elsie Silver Chestnut Springs book that I personally really loved. Ford Grant is also a billionaire, by the way. We need to have a discussion on why we're writing billionaires in the way that we're writing them, as if like billionaires aren't. There's like 10 billionaires. I swear, there's like not that many people are billionaires. They don't live in small town Rose Hill in the mountains and like open music studios, like a recording studio. It just like, that's not, it doesn't give billionaire. Like, Nothing about him gives billionaire. It gives rich, but nothing about him gives billionaire other than you telling me he's a billionaire. It's just so funny and random, but whatever. He's moved back to open up a recording studio and just to live that calm, peaceful, lovely life. He's having a great time doing it, and then suddenly, who comes into the picture? Rosie. Rose Hill and Rosie. That was a weird thing. I don't know, we did Rose Hill and then Rosie, but whatever. Is Ford's best friend's little sister, who we know he has clearly always had a massive crush on. She has suddenly come back to Rose Hill because she just lost her job, things aren't right with her boyfriend, she needs to come home and like have some R&R. Ford ends up giving Rosie a job, and we just go through the whole kind of like, it's not enemies, but it's kind of like rivals, like snippy, like that's how they like banter back and forth. Oh my god, the single father aspect. Suddenly there's a child that is Ford's. Ford, by the way, such a king. He is one of the nicest, sweetest guys you've ever met, because this kid, he doesn't have any real obligation to care for this child, but he does, and it's really, really sweet and lovely, and I really love their relationship. I also really loved Rosie's relationship with this child. The romance I also really enjoyed. I just sometimes find the like, when it's like mean back and forth banter, I sometimes struggle with that, because I feel like there's never an even balance of like girl on boy violence in that respect. I feel like the girl is always allowed by the author to be a lot meaner. He says something kind of on the same level, it's like he's in trouble, like no, he's in for real trouble, which when I say that out loud, like, yeah, love that, okay, but I don't know, I think maybe because if you're writing this character in a way that I really do like this person, like removing gender, like I really do like Thor, I think he's a good person, why is she allowed to be so mean and we're just acting like she's not? I've felt that a lot more strongly with other books, and it's really made me like, I don't want to read anymore. I didn't feel that much. I did really like Rosie, but just I noticed it a few times that I was like, ooh, that was a bit fast and a little unnecessary. Yeah, I liked. It's probably my second favourite Elsie Silver book that I've read, so I'm excited to continue this series. I'm actually really excited for the next one. I've been thinking about it the entire time I've been talking, like, might read that soon, because kind of sounds good. Next, I read Of Jade and Dragons by Amber Chen. This was another Lumacrate book that I got, but this was one that I was quite excited about when I saw it. It was a little bit misleading with the dragons, because there aren't dragons. I kind of figured out very quickly when I like read the blurb and like looked at the picture, and I was like, okay, this isn't about dragons. There's no dragons. The basic plot is we're following this girl who wants to be an engineer. Her father is like a really, really good engineer, and he went to the Engineers Guild, which is like where all of the top engineers come out of in their like, I never know what to say, society, kingdom, country, earth, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? And an event occurs with her father, which leaves her father gone, and she's like, okay, I need to figure out what happened here. Why did that happen? I need to avenge. And sends her on a journey to the Engineers Guild, would you believe? She's also disguised as her brother, by the way, because they do not like women. They're not happy with the women. They don't want the women there. They're like, no. Quite liked this. I listened to most of it on audiobook, which was a really, really fun experience. It was very like immersive for me. But thinking back on it, I didn't read this that long ago. I don't remember that much. It didn't stick with me that much. So there's that. Also, there's like a romance in this, but by the end of it I was like, okay, is this a romance, or is this going to turn out to be like an enemies, or is this like not an enemies? Do I like you? Do I not? So if the author's intention was to leave me confused about this character, whether he's a good person, whether he's made mistakes, whether there's, you know, all that kind of stuff, then, but if that wasn't the intention, then I'm just left confused. I think there's going to be a second book out in 2025, so I might read that. But overall, I'm like here with this book. Like, I had a fun time reading it, but I was left kind of like stumped. You know what I mean? The last book that I read in October, I actually technically finished this November 1st, but I wanted to include it in my October reads. So the last book that I read in October was The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. I have been thinking about this book for a very long time. This was on my priority TBR, like this series, from the start of the year. So I've been planning on reading the series for quite a while. Finally got it. Finally picked it up. I really liked this as an opening of a series, and the whole time I was reading it I kept thinking, like, I feel like this series is just going to get better and better and better, so very excited to continue. The series is about Kiva, who is a prisoner in this very like not nice prison. Like, it's kind of like really intense and like kind of really not nice. Her position in the prison is she is the prison healer. She's been the prison healer for quite a long time. She's been there for 10 years, by the way. So we drop in the book what feels like in the middle of a story, because she's already been there for a long time. Like, obviously a lot of events have already occurred. So Kiva has been there for a very long time, and most people do not survive for as long as she has. She is very much focused on, I'm getting out of here. That is what she is zoned in on. Also, caring for her patients. She is Florence Nightingale. What happens is the rebel queen, who is obviously kind of heading up this uprising that's happening in this kingdom, gets dropped in Kiva's fucking hospital chambers. I don't fucking know, literally like dying, and they're like, Kiva, girl, you better make sure she lives because she needs to compete in the trials. What are the trials? The trials are basically this, like, they're like disguised as like, if you succeed you can get your freedom, but really that it's just like executions. Like, surviving these trials is like 99.99999% not gonna happen. So they're like, Kiva, you need to sort her out so she's alive for these trials so we can kill her in these trials. And Kiva's like, great, well she's very sick, so that's great, it's not gonna happen. Kiva decides on the day of the trials to say, hey, what about if I just did it? What about if I just did it? Guys, it's fine, I'm gonna do it. It's fine, don't worry. So Kiva's gonna compete in the trials for the Rebel Queen, and that means that if Kiva completes all these trials, she has her freedom, so does the Rebel Queen, but more than likely Kiva is going to die. So yeah, that is the book. Also, what's happening throughout this entire thing is there is this plague. People are dying in this prison day by day by day, and like I said, Kiva is the prison healer. She takes her job very seriously. Kiva's list of jobs each day: care for the sick, figure out what the hell is going on. She is out there scientific, taking samples, making potions, trying to figure out what's killing these people, care for this rebel queen who is on death's door, compete in these trials. She has so much to do. This book is really fun. I really loved it, really had a good time, really loved Kiva, really loved side characters that we had. This book is notorious for there being a crazy plot twist at the end. I do have a comment about the plot twist. One of the plot twists I already knew about because I looked up something and I shouldn't have. I feel like that was good because I could see it being weaved throughout the story. Like, I feel like I might have figured it out anyway, but it should be weaved through. Another few plot twists though I kind of had an issue with, because I was like, okay, this completely changes how I see this character. You've told me your intentions this entire time were a certain way and your beliefs were a certain way, and you were acting a certain way because of a certain, you know, and then now this is completely different because you had all this information that we weren't privy to, so I don't feel like I know you the way that I thought I did. So it almost feels like this was not threaded into the story, this was just dropped there at the end, and I don't think it's a good plot twist if it hasn't been threaded through and I just missed it. That's my opinion on that, but still really loved, and I'm very excited to continue the series. Okay, that's it. That's gonna be all of the books that I read in October. Usually I do a TBR as well, but I have no idea what I want to read, and I kind of just want to balls to the walls, pick what I want kind of thing. I hope you enjoyed this video nonetheless. Read some really good books. I would recommend most of them. honestly. Like all of them except for Hopeless, to be honest, I'd probably recommend. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Go watch some of my other stuff if you enjoyed, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye!